thought we would switch up the scenery a little bit. So I'm filming in front of my little office nook today. Very appropriate considering almost everything is thrifted. So today's haul is a little bit different because everything was from estate sales. So I've been to a couple of estate sales before in Miami before I moved, but these were the first estate sales that I ever went to here in Nashville. We've been here 8 months now, so it took me a long time to finally get around to going to estate sales, but I finally did. I went to 3 this week, and let me tell you, the experience is very different from the estate sales in Miami that I had previously been to. So it was very interesting, not necessarily bad experiences, but just very different. So for starters, most of the estate sales that I've been to in Miami are family-led. So it's the children or other family members that are basically hosting the estate sale. Whereas here I've noticed that most of the estate sales are company-led. So that was really interesting, and it definitely differs a lot in prices because some things could be really, really pricey, which makes sense obviously if it's a company that's hosting this event, right? They're charging for their services. They also need to pay their staff, the time it takes to label all the products, and of course having all the technology to be able to handle payments, right? So it makes sense. I'm not saying that it's like, why are they charging so much money for these items? A lot of the items are worth that much money, and like I said, they need to pay their employees, so it makes sense. But I was definitely not used to that. So the first estate sale that I went to was so expensive and not just super expensive, but there were a ton of people. I think the estate sale started at 9. I got there at 9:15, and I think I waited like 40 minutes just to enter the house. It was a really tiny property, so that's why they were only letting some people in at a time, but the line was crazy. Like I almost didn't go inside, but I had driven so far that I was like, I have to stay. So very expensive estate sale, but I did find a couple of things. A cookie cutter. One of the few things I could afford at that sale. So the cookie cutters I think were like $1. And you know, the fall is here officially, so I of course need a pumpkin cookie cutter. So that was the first thing that I got. These were probably some of my favorite finds. I got 2 vintage books, and I just think they look so cool. And you could definitely tell that there's so much history in them, which I think is amazing. These might actually be some of my first truly vintage books. I do have a couple of other thrifted older books, but they're not like antique vintage like these are. These are from, the last copyright on this one is 1917, and this book was reprinted in 1916. So they're really old. I don't know the exact date because they don't say it anywhere, but those were at least the last copyrighted editions of this book, which is crazy. One of them is English Composition for College Women, which I thought was cool. And the other one is a first course in algebra. I don't know how y'all feel about math, but I used to like math when I was in school. Now, not so much. I'm definitely out of the habit and I need to use my calculator for even basic math, but I thought it was really cool, and they look absolutely beautiful. They were $4 each, which is not like the best price in the world, but it's also not the worst price. So I thought just because of how cool they were and honestly like how stunning they are, that they were worth the $4, and maybe even more than worth it, because it's just like a little piece of history, you know? The next little thing I found I think was a little bit overpriced, but I do splurge when it comes to my family. So I got my mom this little chair. So this was $10, which again is kind of expensive for like a tiny wooden chair in my opinion, but it was so cute. I couldn't pass it up. It's a little rocking chair. Let me see. My mom has a collection of tiny little chairs, so I thought it would be perfect to gift her this. I'll try and ask her to see if she can send me some footage of it so that you can see her collection. I think almost all her chairs are thrifted, which is really cool. I definitely got my love of thrifting from my mom, so it only makes sense that I give something thrifted back to her. And the last thing that I found at that sale was probably one of the most expensive thrifted pieces I've ever bought. It did hurt me emotionally and I will have to recover from it, but it's this beautiful crock. It's honestly in such good shape. It's a beautiful color. It does have a little piece here that looks like it came off and it was glued back on, or maybe it didn't even completely come off and got cracked, because this part here is still completely intact. I thought it was so beautiful. If you've been following me for a while now, you know I've been wanting a croc for basically the entire time I've been here. So like for 8 or 9 months, I've been searching and searching for crocs. Zero luck at the thrift stores, but definitely possible to find them at estate sales. So if you're also looking for crocs, most likely you'll find them at estate sales. You might not get so lucky finding them at the thrift stores, but the only downside is crocs are so expensive, like ridiculously so. I think I had mentioned it in a previous video that I had been looking at some on Etsy that were selling for maybe over $100 depending on the size. I really wanted one, but I'm not gonna pay $100 for it. This one was $32, which compared to 100, it's not that bad, but I still felt so bad spending $32 on this. But it's beautiful, and I've been wanting one for so long that I was going to hate myself forever and ever if I didn't buy it. So I had to do it. Oh, and sorry, it wasn't 32, it was 38. All right, so that was estate sale number 1. Again, very expensive, but they had some really beautiful pieces, a ton of artwork. It was really nice, but just a little bit beyond my price range. The next estate sale that I went to, if you follow me on Instagram, you saw that I posted a picture of a lake house. It was so gorgeous, and honestly, the drive there was beautiful. Like, just for that, I didn't even care if I didn't find anything at the estate sale. It was a beautiful drive, a beautiful location. It was an experience. Again, a ton of beautiful things, but pretty expensive. It did have a couple of things that were priced decently, but most of the things that I was interested in were very, very expensive. There was a jug there that was beautiful that it will haunt me for the rest of my life that I did not buy it. But again, it was like $75, and I just can't bring myself to spend that much money on anything, whether it be thrifted or new. Like $75 is a lot of money in my opinion. So to spend it on one jug seems, even though if I were to buy it off of Etsy, it would be twice that. It is a good price, but it's still too much for me. So I didn't get it. It will haunt me for the rest of my life. But I did get 2 other things. One was another little vintage book. And this one, oh, I held it upside down. And this one is Child Story Reader. So a little like children's storybook. Also very old and kind of falling apart a little bit. I think I might just try to glue this down because it's not like completely ruined. It's just the flap is kind of coming off. So I'm going to just glue it down. Let me see if this one has a date. This one's also really old. The copyright is from 1929. So still very old book, which I thought was really cool. The retail price is printed on here in the back, and it was originally 69 cents. So it just goes to show you a little piece of history there, but I got it for $1, which is still a pretty good price considering the inflation since 1929. Yeah, and by comparison, like I said before, those were $4 and this one was only $1. And from that same estate sale, the only other thing I got was this little jug. That's both sides, and it's kind of cool. It has like some of the glaze falling down on the sides, which I thought was pretty. And this color is beautiful, and I think now for the fall it would be perfect. Maybe with a couple of dried florals coming out of it, would look so pretty. And this one was $8, which I thought was much more reasonable. I still probably would have liked to pay less for it, but $8 is perfectly fine for a jug this size, so I'm happy with that. Okay, and the last estate sale I went to today, and that was by far the best one I've been to out of the 3. The prices were much more reasonable. There was almost nobody there, which I found really surprising. I loved that. I felt like I could like see the stuff in peace. The first one was like crazy ridiculously packed. It was a tiny little house. There was so many people, so I could not stay there more than 10 minutes because I was so overwhelmed. The second one was okay, but this one, the house was huge. It felt like a maze. Like I had to go through it 3 times just to make sure I had gone into all the rooms because I literally got turned around and I didn't know where I was. But the house was really big. There was very few people, like I said, so I could take my time and explore and all of that. If you are in the Nashville area and you're looking for estate sales, I think the company that hosted it was called Dogwood Estate Sales. So if you see other sales by them, hopefully they're just as good. The prices were really, really good for some pieces, so I would definitely recommend that one over some of the other estate sale companies. So let me show you what I got there. First, some more books. Hey! Yay! So I got 2 more books. This one is Plain Geometry, so I guess math is following me around, and the second one is Sea Fights and Shipwrecks. And again, really old books. This one doesn't have a date, but the person graduated in 1943 and they're very happy about it and wrote it in the back of their book. And the Shipwrecks one has a note in it from 1955, so again, a really old one. I thought this one was cool because they clearly liked boats. There was a whole room that just had like boat paraphernalia and things like that, so I thought it was kind of cool. It'll also be a reminder of like what the estate sale was like, and I'm so excited to start styling all my books. The one thing I didn't have were vintage books, so I'm so happy that I was able to find so many so I could put them all over the apartment. And these next pieces, I specifically went to this estate sale for them, and I was like fingers crossed that nobody had like touched them. Brass candlesticks. So if you follow me on Instagram, you probably saw when I posted that estate sale, there was so many gold candlesticks or brass candlesticks. I honestly wanted to buy like half of them, but I was like, no, control yourself. You don't need them. You don't want them. So I only bought 1 set of 5, and the whole set was $10, which I thought was really good because that basically comes out to $2 a piece. So again, like I said, much more reasonable prices. And yeah, they're so pretty and I was so excited. They match the style of those almost exactly, except these are a little bit thicker than those up there. But look how cute they are. I also found some big chunky candles. I thought this color was so pretty. It's like a beigey color. They're so pretty, and I can't remember off the top of my head if I have candle holders for these type of candles, but even just like this by themselves, I thought that they would look really pretty. So also the color very appropriate for the fall, so I'll definitely have to use them for my fall decorating. And these next pieces, I almost didn't see them, but I was talking with a lady and she pointed out something else, and right next to them, these were there. So it's these really cool hurricane glass wicker candle holders. There are still candles in there, so I don't know if I should clean them out or just leave them as it is. My only issue is they do run a little bit yellow, so it doesn't feel too like fall, winter, which are the seasons coming up. So I might either save them until summertime, or they do come off of the glass, so I could also potentially try to bleach them and see how that works out. Both of them together were $8, so $4 each, and I thought that that was a great price considering like how big they are. So let me know, should I leave them like this or should I try to bleach them? Should I gift it to one of you all if you want them? I'd be willing to part with them if somebody wants them, because I just thought that they were beautiful and I had to buy them, but the color doesn't match the scheme of the rest of my apartment, as you can see. So let me know if you'd be interested in these. Maybe we could do a little giveaway. I think that would be fun. And the last piece, this estate sale did not have any Crocs, unfortunately. I did see one lady had this beautiful lamp with this like empire lampshade, which was absolutely gorgeous. But I did find a big jug. So this baby is huge. Please put aside the colors, okay? The pastels are not a vibe. But just picture it like very like McGee inspired, like black with some like dirt on it, you know, make it look vintage and worn out. These are so expensive. I think yesterday I was literally looking at some on Amazon for like over $200 or something. I can't remember, but yeah, this one was $25, which a little bit expensive, but like I've said before, these are so expensive if I were to buy one new, and I just really love the shape and the look of it, so I thought it was worth it to splurge and do a little bit of a thrift flip on it. But that was everything. So some pretty successful estate sales. I think estate sales might be my new thing. The prices are not that great compared to some of my favorite thrift stores, but I think to go every once in a while, it's definitely like a whole experience. Like I said, like driving there, seeing the house, seeing all the history. I saw some really cool like yearbook photos and some really unique pieces. So even if it's just like as an outing, like just to go and have fun and see a couple of new things, I think it would be fun to do every once in a while. But I'm definitely going to try to keep track of what company estate sales I go to. That way I can try to scope out like which ones are more or less expensive than others and try to make an effort to go to those specifically, so I'm not wasting more money than I should be. But yeah, let me know what your favorite piece was, and let me know in the comments below if you'd be interested in the 2 hurricane glasses so that we can do a little giveaway. But otherwise, thank you all so much for joining me, and I will see you all very soon in another video.